here I have an email here from one of the fine members of the Cult of Cornette. I like the cut of this guy's jib already, because he starts it out, "Hey Jim, big fan of yours," and "Hey Brian." But anyway,
hey, you. What?
he doesn't give his name. Actually, he calls himself the Human Shield, if that's any clue to anybody. But I want to bring this up because we may be able to discuss this with some clarity here. He says there's a lot of chatter online often, thanks to Uncle Dave, about WWE's aging roster. Right or wrong, is mid-30s really old in wrestling? Not enough is being said about how old AEW's roster is as well, and he has listed some people. And I'll give the list, and then let's talk about a couple things. Luchasaurus is 35. Kaz, Frankie Kazarian, is 43. I still think of him as I love those guys in TNA, but I still think of him as a young man. Daniels, Christopher Daniels, is 50. He's amazing shape, but 50. Brian Cage is 37 years old.
Holy shit. I did not think that.
I did not think that either. And boy, especially with a physique like that, his clock is ticking on taking any bumps unless he's got just freakish luck. Anyway, Scorpio Sky is 37. Luke Gallows is 37. Carl Anderson is 41. I was not aware of that. Lance Archer. Here's another guy from TNA 15 years ago. I'm thinking, well, one of the kids. He's 44. John Moxley is 35. Eddie Kingston is 39. Dustin Rhodes is 51. And honestly, he's in the best shape of his life. So he's the exception that proves the rule in most cases. Matt Hardy's 46. Rusev is 36.
Wow.
So hopefully we won't have to look at him for another fucking 20 years. Cody is 35. He's listed $1 is 35. Twinkle Toes, Harpo is 37 years old. Christian just got there, is 47. Big Show is 49. Jericho is 50. And Sting is 61. So that doesn't include on-air personalities like Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Taz, Vicky Guerrero, and Jake Roberts. He says some of which look to be waiting for the Grim Reaper, which is very harsh. But how is this the young people's wrestling promotion that skews younger? And it's not the age of, and this is a point in both ways. It's not the age of the roster, it's what you do with it. And I guess this older bunch of people is appealing to young people because the young people are the ones that have been most programmed to think that this is what wrestling might supposed to be. And so we're not going to take it too seriously, and it doesn't have to be too professional looking as a result. Because in Ohio Valley Wrestling, I had at one time the youngest roster of any promotion in the country with television, and it was a much more serious and professional product. And to be honest with you, we didn't break down. Our local television ratings didn't break down every specific demographic rating group that the national services do, but our demographic rating survey was looking at the crowds at our matches. And we had people from babies. We had babies, for fuck's sake, but I'm not even going to count them. We didn't charge for babies. But we had 6-year-old kids and little kids running around, and we had mothers, and we had families, and we had older people. Because there wasn't anything about the product that would appeal to just one specific age group or income group or whatever. It was wrestling, and it was serious, mixed with entertainment from the frivolous fringe performers. And everybody enjoyed it equally. But at the same time, everybody in the audience was older than the guys in the ring and the guys on the show. So it's not just about the talent. A lot of these guys, you know, we were surprised with their age on some of them. Some of them, obviously, it's plainly known. But some of these guys would be the same fucking level talent if they were 10 or 15 years younger, or should be on a television program. And some of them probably shouldn't be on television in today's modern age trying to wrestle. But so anyway, it doesn't just, I guess, you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not the age of the performers. It's what you do with them, and whether the product is meant for wrestling fans that traditionally don't want to be slapped in the face with that this is all fake and silly. It's a fight and a conflict and personalities, etc. And this new audience that's been created that people just want to see 2 hours of bad Saturday Night Live sketches. Does that make any sense? It's not the participants, it's the program.
It's the participants too. You know, in terms of ages, I think the other thing to note is that AEW's young guys are impressive. MJF is 24. I think last time we looked up Jungle Boy, he was 22, maybe 23.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Darby Allin, I think, is under 30, or maybe right around that range. Ricky Starks can't be that old. They do have some good young talent. Adam Page is probably on the younger side of all those guys there. But yeah, they are they're top loaded with a lot of these guys.
And now that you just mentioned all those names in addition to the ones I mentioned, I'm wondering what their fucking total payroll is, besides the paid fans on the floor. But go ahead.
I think a big problem is just there's a lot of guys off WWF TV, or WWE TV, excuse me. I don't know where my head went there. That
you've been around me too long.
You know, like Gallows and Anderson, who I'm not a fan of, and I've talked about that. But even if you are, they were kind of just guys on the roster on Raw. You know, they were AJ Styles' backup, but they really didn't mean much. And all of a sudden, they're now in a prominent position here on this show. You know, Matt Hardy, you take him off there, and all of a sudden you propel him into another role over here. Christian's going to be interesting. I think Christian's a really talented wrestler. I mean, we haven't seen him wrestle in a number of years, but, you know, I think, misfired by pretending he was, I shouldn't say pretending, but the way they build him up in advance before we knew it was him was a mistake, because it left people feeling left out, or let down, I should say.
Well, because when you leave it to people's imaginations, unless it really is something that there's almost no way they could have imagined something better, it's going to be a letdown. Here's the thing. Is Christian now, is he the next victim of the Japanese schoolgirl syndrome, where you see so many of 98-pound Japanese girls in frilly outfits, you know, prancing about, that when you find one who really is a good worker, there's a reticence to fucking want to watch it because that's what you think you're getting. So have they already blown so many ex-WWE talents' entrances? Miro in the pink Minnie Mouse shirt, or not entrances, but debuts and first programs and etc. Are people just going to look at Christian now and go, oh, yeah, fuck. I don't know.
Do they have too many ex-WWE guys? I mean, whether we want to talk about, you know, who they are and the quality of them, if every segment or almost every segment has an ex-WWE guy in it, is that wrong? I mean, should they be really just focusing on, I know we're not fans of the Young Bucks, but the Young Bucks have never been on WWE TV. Adam Page never been there. Omega never been there. MJF never been there. Should you be focusing on your own guys, or should you be taking these guys that weren't in the world title picture, you know, weren't top of the card in WWE, and all of a sudden they're just on another show? We talked about in the past, Monday Night Wars was top guys. Savage, Hogan, and then Nash and Hall. These were top guys in that time period, not top guys 10 years earlier. Although, you know, obviously Hogan had kind of done everything he could do in the WWE at that time, and then he got a new life in WCW. But those were all top guys.
To answer your question, though, I think it's like ground beef. You get 80-20. You need people that you need talent that the fans know the names. They've been stars. They've been on television. It gives you credibility. It gives you, a sense in people's minds that, hey, this is a competitive organization because that guy but it has to be, it can't just be the underneath guys. Jericho worked. I guess Moxley, even though he couldn't bring the name for the level that he was at for a while, okay. But for the most part, you want to concentrate. I would have wanted to concentrate on, like you said, the new guys that we hadn't seen on national TV or hadn't seen them in a long time. We were lucky when Sinclair bought Ring of Honor, because at that time, looking around the wrestling landscape, Ring of Honor already had 85 to 90% of the unsigned independent wrestlers that didn't work for either TNA or WWE that existed in the country. Now, of course, a bunch of people, oh, God, no, that's not true. What about Flippy McFucking Flash Pants or whatever? No, fuck you. I'm talking about serious, accomplished, it is somewhat experienced, but definitely top-of-the-line talent. The fucking Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, Roderick Strong, Jay Lethal, Briscoe Brothers, fucking on and on and on. And we augmented that with guys like Hassan Benjamin, or Rhino, or Lance Storm for a couple of programs, or guys that could still go in the ring but had worked at a high level on television, but didn't just come straight from there, having been beaten into powder, right? And this guy, once again, I'll say it again, and we'll talk more about it later on, his booking, but he had the opportunity to go around and do the same thing with his resources, sign the absolute best talent that wasn't signed to WWE, even if they had contracts with other companies, or they're working with Impact, for fuck's sake. He'll do that, my God. It's almost like going in fucking bareback on a fucking crack whore in the alleyway. If you'll do that, you'll do almost anything. So work out deals, expose their talent, get the fucking roster of guys that are young, that can work, can go, can get over, can talk, haven't been seen or beaten into powder on national television and other promotions, with a couple of major names from the top guys, the top promotion rather, so you get some attention. And no, he relied on his fucking goofy fad. The whole Bullet Club thing, or the Elite thing, is going to be the fucking, as we look back in history, is going to be the fucking hula hoop. It was a goddamn fad from a bunch of people that wanted to watch silly wrestling instead of actually be a fan of it. And for a few years, these fucking dickheads had a bunch of deadheads traveling around watching them. But it doesn't last because it wasn't funny the first time, really, and they do the same shit, and it gets less funny. So instead of having a plan and putting together the best talent and reaching out to other places like a Ring of Honor or like fucking MLW beforehand for the guys they might have that they might want to get exposed to, and put a fucking program on, sports-based presentation to be an alternative and a challenge to WWE. Instead, he lets the silly fad wrestlers sign up all their friends and then bring in their fetishes.